Why don't you take a break? My Robert's kind words made me tear up. When was the last time anyone worried about me? But it opened my eyes. I need to get out of this toxic in-law hell. Time for some payback doubled. My name is Sarah, and I'm 38 years old, living happily in a shared house. Some people say, I can't imagine living with strangers in a shared house. But after my divorce, living alone, I found living with strangers surprisingly comfortable. There are worse families out there, trust me, I know. It started about 10 years ago. My husband Ken and I started our newlywed life in a new apartment. Ken had an unmarried sister, Nancy, who often came to visit with her mother, Amelia. Ken, you got married before me, huh? Chatting with her with a bit of a mean tone, Amelia often added salt to the wound. Nancy always put on a brave face, saying things like, marriage isn't everything. She was saying all the right things, but it felt more like she was just trying to be strong. And honestly, she was right. It's not like her words didn't have merit. But the bravado was obvious. I say that because Nancy kept buying wedding magazines every month, even though she had no plans to marry. She was more eager than anyone to get married. She's been dating a guy long distance for 3 years, but no talk of marriage. Nancy, you're almost 30. If you keep dragging your feet, you won't be able to have kids or find someone to marry. Every time Amelia pushed like this, Nancy would get more and more agitated. So it was an unwritten rule not to talk about marriage in front of Nancy. But Amelia kept pushing Nancy's buttons without realizing it. The worst part was that because Amelia always used Ken and me as an example, Nancy ended up resenting me. Girls like Sarah, who can't remember anything at work and don't think about anything, tend to be more popular with guys. They get everything done for them. Guys don't like women who are strong and assertive like me. I'm not saying I don't get any attention, but I think having a career and being independent is better. In the end, people who are good at their jobs win. I had to listen to this speech over and over. Each time, I'd have to say things like, No, women like you are admired by men. It wasn't that I wanted to flatter her, but if I didn't, she'd get even more annoyed. She was very emotional and difficult to deal with. Then one day, why don't we all live together? As usual, Amelia showed up unannounced on my husband's day off. Her sudden suggestion left my husband Ken, Nancy, and me in shock. Why? Ken asked, looking slightly annoyed. We see each other all the time anyway, don't we? That's because they kept barging into our house, not because we were agreeing to it. It would be easier to manage one household instead of two, don't you think? What about Sarah? Ken seemed to hesitate for a moment, then passed the question to me. I was stunned. Ken was looking at me as if begging me to turn them down. Amelia was looking at me, fully expecting me to agree. Well, we're still newlyweds, and we'd like some more time to ourselves. Really? You've been married for a year and still feel like newlyweds? Must be nice, huh? Nancy, aren't you jealous? You wouldn't understand since you're not married. She laughed loudly at my response, while Nancy's face was turning red with anger. Then I guess Nancy will have to take care of me in my old age. Amelia's words made Nancy's eyes lose their light. Her tone was suddenly cold. No, since Ken's already married, his wife should take care of her. No way. We just got married. We're not ready for that kind of thing. I nodded along with Ken's nervous response. Right. Having a man in the house would make Mom feel safer. So Ken and Sarah should take her in. I'm not sure about that. I'm out most of the time at work. It was clear that none of us wanted to take Amelia in. She had no sense of delicacy and would make life difficult for anyone living with her. Nancy hated that part of her mother, but she was still living at home. Since I was a housewife, I could technically take her in, but I really didn't want to. I hoped to avoid the situation somehow, but Nancy jumped in, pushing the situation. I bet Sarah doesn't want to live with Mom because she's a stranger to her. She's your Amelia, after all. Who wouldn't find that annoying? I was at a loss for words and could only look at Ken for help, but he avoided my gaze. Wow, I thought we were on the same page about not wanting to live with Amelia, but I felt like I was left to fend for myself. With a smug look, Nancy continued her tirade. Since Ken and Sarah don't want to, they should be the ones to live with Mom. She seemed delighted at how things were unfolding. I thought I was good to you, but I guess you're just an ungrateful daughter-in-law. From that day on, my relationship with Amelia deteriorated even further. One day, she came over unannounced and said, I'm hosting a party, and I need you to think of some dishes for me to serve. A party? Serving dishes? Do you mean I should cook for this party? Of course. Why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense. Technically, you'd be cooking, but Mom will take credit for it. Wait, what? I don't understand. You'll make the food, and I'll say I made it. And we'll host the party here, in your house. Huh? Do you have a problem with that? No problem at all. Really, Ken? Couldn't you at least put up some resistance? Great, then it's settled. It was clear I had no say in the matter. A week later, Amelia hosted a home party, inviting 5 friends to our house. She told her friends she lived with her son and his wife. During the party, she bragged about how she had reluctantly moved in with us, but we insisted. She boasted about how protective we were of her. Meanwhile, her friends were complaining about how their children never visited them. It was clear the party was just Amelia's way of showing off. Whether intentional or not, it seemed petty. They praised her cooking, which was actually my cooking, and envied her for having such a close family. The second party never happened, probably because her friends were just humoring her. But that didn't stop Amelia and Nancy from staying over more and more. Soon they practically moved in. Ken would complain to me about it when we were alone, but he never said a word to them. I felt completely isolated. This wasn't what I imagined married life would be. One day, Nancy came home from work with exciting news. Big news! What's going on? I'm getting married! Oh, congratulations! Even though I was surprised, it was clear from Nancy's expression how much she wanted to get married. She was beaming with joy, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. Well, at least Nancy would be moving out, I thought, feeling a sense of relief. We're going to have a little get-together to introduce my fiancé. Wait, you mean here? I immediately realized I was asking a foolish question. So, Sarah, could you prepare the food for the party? Here we go again, I thought, feeling my knees buckle with disappointment. Wouldn't it be better if you cooked, since it's your fiancé? Oh, I can't cook. Ken, did you know that? Didn't you? It's pretty obvious. Nancy, who had lived at home her whole life, never bothered learning how to cook. Now it made sense why Nancy didn't want to take care of her aging mother, and why Amelia wanted to move in with us. She was tired of doing all the work for Nancy. The pieces of the puzzle were finally coming together. I felt despair looking at this dysfunctional family. I watched in disbelief as Nancy planned the menu with Ken, who was just as clueless. Just order in, I thought, but I knew the cost would fall on us. Ken would gripe about it later in private, but never to their faces. I thought about divorce more and more. But my savings were gone, and I had no home to return to. I guess I'll just have to put up with this forever. Eventually, the day came when Nancy's fiancé Robert was introduced. Wow, this looks delicious, he said, complimenting the food that Nancy was pretending to have made. I've never tasted your cooking before, Nancy. Well, we've been in a long-distance relationship, so there weren't many chances. Nancy, who couldn't even crack an egg, was boldly taking credit for my cooking. He was kind, polite, and seemed far too good for Nancy. He even helped Amelia walk and tried to get to know me. If only Ken could learn a thing or two from him. The meet and greet went smoothly. It was great that the food was well received. Yes, I'm relieved. You shouldn't be, Nancy. What are you going to do after marriage? You said you'd move out. Can you even make dinner? I'll be fine. I have a month before the wedding to practice. A month might be enough for some, but I had my doubts about Nancy. Don't worry, I won't be moving back. My husband won't want to let me go. Please don't come back, I silently prayed. Shortly after, Nancy got married and left our house. I hoped things would get easier, but I was wrong. Sarah, take me out. On a Saturday morning, Amelia was pestering Ken, who was still in bed. I'm tired. Just leave me alone. You always say that. Whatever. Sarah, take me out. I was expecting this. Amelia hated staying in. I thought she'd ask one of us to take her out since Nancy was gone. I'm not feeling well today. I don't care. That's harsh. Family should be fair. If your health is prioritized, my desire to go out should be respected too. I'm really not feeling well. I'm nauseous and have a headache. It's just a cold. Rest and you'll be fine. Should I just sleep then? Who's going to do the chores? You talk about fairness, but never consider doing your part. You're just weak. Don't exaggerate. I've never heard of a cold being cured by spitting on it. Just talking to her made me feel worse, so I ignored her. Car, now. I kept ignoring her. Ken, your wife is useless. You're making Mom upset, and I'm getting annoyed. Why don't you handle her? You're her son. You should take her out of the house for disrespecting my mom. I was left outside for 30 minutes. I took a walk and then came back, and he let me in as if nothing happened. What's your problem? I didn't even bother to argue. My condition got worse, and I started getting fevers every day. I just didn't have the energy to argue anymore. About a month after Nancy moved out, since we didn't have a wedding, let's celebrate Mom's birthday together as a family. Everyone was excited, discussing what to prepare for the party. I'm sorry, but... What? I'd like to skip the celebration because I'm not feeling well. You've been saying that forever. You're lying. I'm not lying. The doctor couldn't find anything. See, you're faking it. Since you're lying, you'll be responsible for all the chores during the celebration. And so, I ended up not only attending, but also managing everything. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to Sarah's cooking. You're welcome. Sarah, aren't you going to eat? I'm fine, thank you. You should join us. It's a family event after all. No, really, I'm okay. Don't be silly. Come sit with us. I don't know how to relax anymore, I thought. I'm so used to doing all the work. The concern in his eyes made me burst into tears. Sarah, what's wrong? I'm sorry. It's just... No one's been this kind to me in a long time. Let's get some fresh air. Thank you. Why don't you tell me what's really going on? I don't know where to start. I began to tell him everything. This is unacceptable. Before I knew it, he was marching back inside. What kind of house is this? How can you all sit here drinking when Sarah is suffering? Everyone was shocked by his sudden outburst. What did you tell him, Sarah? Just the truth. Nancy, you've been having Sarah make all your food, haven't you? She wanted to. You've been lying to me this whole time. What? No, And you, Ken, why are you letting your wife be treated this way? That's none of your business. It is now. I've decided to divorce Nancy. Everyone was stunned. Wait, what? Why? You lied to me. That's all you care about? I'm done. What about me? Nancy will take care of you. Really? No way. I'm divorcing Ken. My words left Ken and Amelia stunned. What are you saying, Sarah? Are you joking? Who's joking? I snapped, raising my voice for the first time. They were surprised, as I usually didn't raise my voice. I'm done being treated worse than a servant here. Even maids get paid. I don't get a cent here. If this family were subject to labor laws, you'd be in big trouble. That's ridiculous. Is it? You've woken me up in the middle of the night to help you look for things, yelled at me for breakfast being late. You've ignored my feelings, imposed your wishes on me, and got angry when I refused. This house has no respect for my rights. Even prisons offer more rights than this. It's like a forced labor camp. I wasn't that bad. When Ken was in a bad mood, he'd yell at me. Both mother and son always claimed they weren't to blame. They disgusted me. Who cares who's to blame? I can't stay in this awful family anymore. I want a divorce. I glared at Ken and Amelia, feeling a strength I hadn't before. Stay strong, Sarah. I finally felt validated. Are you serious? Then I'll have to live with Mom alone. Well, Ken, you'll just have to take care of me in my old age. Ken seemed to hate the idea and muttered, Give me a break. Don't treat me like a burden. Don't worry about it. Nancy will take care of Amelia. Oh, does that mean you'll live with me too? No, let's not do that. Why not? I'm divorcing Nancy too. What? Nancy looked shocked. Wait, why? If Sarah divorces and you can't cook, then I'm not about to eat store-bought meals every day. I don't want to work just to pay for groceries. Even Amelia couldn't argue against that. You mean your love for me is so weak that it fades just because I can't cook? I don't like people who lie, and you lied about your cooking from the start. Nancy's face turned pale as the truth sank in. This is so unfair. But he stood firm, showing no sign of backing down. Amelia and Ken also seemed to understand there was no point in arguing. The event, which was supposed to be a birthday celebration and wedding reception, ended up being a double divorce announcement. After that, I divorced Ken and got a share of the assets. I kept the house, and Ken returned to his parents. It seemed like things were settled, but life after the divorce was challenging. The lawyer Robert recommended suggested I see a therapist, and it turned out I had a mental illness caused by stress. I was able to claim damages from Ken for emotional distress. Around the same time, Nancy and her husband divorced as well. They had lived in a house owned by his family, so Nancy was left without a place to live. She moved back in with her parents. But a few months later, Nancy was cautioned by the police for trespassing at her ex-husband's home. Apparently, she had been stalking him, hoping to reconcile. She wasn't arrested, considering it was her first offense and he was her ex-husband. But the incident became known at her workplace and among neighbors, and soon, Nancy, Ken, and Amelia couldn't stay at their home anymore. Instead of living separately, the three of them decided to move together and start anew. Both Nancy and Ken had to change jobs, but finding new employment wasn't easy. It was a time of economic downturn, and even new graduates were struggling to find jobs. My ex-husband, who had only worked in odd jobs, found it even harder. After a stint at a black company, he quit again. He couldn't even keep up with the monthly alimony payments. Still, I managed to get the money from him. Nancy, for some reason, managed to find a job more easily. She tried to remarry, but kept failing. My ex-husband also remained single, so I guess they both ended up having to care for Amelia. Speaking of Amelia, she also tried to find a new partner after being inspired by Nancy. She even bragged to me, but it turned out the man was a scam artist. She lost $80,000, her savings for old age. Apparently, marriage fraud is hard to prove. Well, after all the trouble they caused me, it's only fair they experience some hardship. As for me, after leaving that house, my heart finally healed, and I now work happily as a preschool teacher. I had always wanted to be a teacher, but I was bad at studying back then and never tried. I never thought I'd be taking on this challenge after turning 40. But going through all that made me more courageous. I have no intention of remarrying, but I don't feel lonely. At work, I'm surrounded by adorable kids, and at home, my housemates. The housemates range from their 20s to 50s, making the place lively. Plus, it's a shared house where we can live with rescue cats, so there are several cats around. If I felt lonely here, I'd be cursed for sure. It's the perfect environment. Many people think getting married or having kids is the only path to happiness for women, but I'll prove that's not the case. That's my secret ambition these days.